Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial, and today we'll be doing simple practices for absolute beginners in data analytics using Microsoft Excel. This video is going to cover some basic functions like the unique function, the xlookup function, the sequence function, and several things like conditional formatting, data validation that you can use to just improve your skill in data analysis, working with data, and it's just totally for absolute beginners. All right. So please, as you watch, make sure you also like and subscribe and put on the notification bell for updates on new videos that we have. All right, let's go. So we're going to, like I said, this video or this tutorial is just going to assume that we are absolute total beginners, and in the next 45 minutes or thereabout, I'd want to introduce us to some functions again, certain basics again, and let's see what we can make out of it. Okay, are we good? All right, so I want to generate a simple data set that I'm going to use to attempt to practice analysis. Let's say I have something like index column or serial number, and every cell has a name. So this is cell B1, this will be cell C1, and so on. And do we still remember that every cursor has different functions? So there are different cursors that you're going to find on Microsoft Excel. There's this as the expand handle, there is the fill handle, there's the select handle, there is the highlight handle, and there's the move handle. Okay, so every one of them has their different functions, and we're just going to use that to play around. Okay, we're just going to use that to play around. Fine. So I also want to create an item, a column for item, a column for region, and then maybe units sold and costs price, and so no units sold. Let me make this unit price. Let me make this cost price, and let this be price. Let me add a discount and then selling price, and then we could check for profit. Okay, so first off, let's try to generate serial number. Now if I'm using the fill handle, I can simply give Excel a pattern of numbers and then follow it through using, as long as I've highlighted the cells with those patterns, I can just drag down, double click and drag down and continue the pattern. So let me say for 30 rows, let me zoom out so we can all see that. So please, if you're joining us, do well to say hi, drop a like, tell us where you're chatting from. Now, so this is one way you can generate that. Yeah, and also would appreciate if you subscribe and follow us. Okay, thank you so much for those that have already dropped here. Like, okay, so this is one way to get that. I can also generate this using the sequence function. Using the sequence function in Excel. Remember, if you want to write a function or a formula in Excel, you must start with the equal sign. So the moment I do an equal to, it's expecting a formula or a function. So if I say equal to sequence and I want it for 30 rows, it's going to generate a number of data for me for 30 rows. Okay, but I also mentioned to us that this is but an array. It doesn't really exist yet. For instance, if I come to cell A3, you would see that there's no value of 2 here. In fact, the formula is not clear, so you can't really tell what's there. Okay, it's trying to tell you that this is not this is not an original data, it's just a sequence, it's just an array. So we would have to copy this range of data and then paste them as values. So you can come to your paste icon here, select the drop down arrow and then paste as values, so they now exist as value. Okay, the reason why this is more efficient based on what you want to do is if you have about 1,000 rows that you want to do an index for, then using the fill handle may be a bit hectic. Okay, I want us to also there's a more technical way I could do this, but let's pick random items that we are going to use for this analysis, okay, or for this simple practice we're doing. Let's say we want to select shoe, maybe it's retail items, shoe, bag, phone. So let's randomize them, let's repeat them. Phone again, shoe, a glass. Okay, let's go back to bag, shoe, phone, glass, bag, shoe. Let's say let's say line, whatever that is, line again, shoe, bag, phone, line, shoe, line, phone. Let me just add one random item. Let me say speaker, and phone again. Let's say a read, another read, and then a box. So let's say we have these random items here. Now I want to keep a list. I hope these things are not too tiny, so let me zoom out a bit, okay, so we can probably see better. Now I have a list of these unique items. If I want to create a list of these items, okay, I want to create a unique list of these items. I want to have a unique list of these items. Some of us may know this already, so let me say items, and I'm going to use the unique function to get the list of these items. So guys, stay with me. There are things I'm going to be doing today that may be new to some of us. That's why we're having this. So if I say equal to unique, right, unique, and then I select this range of items from the first one, if I just select the first one and then Control Shift and down to highlight all of them, so you can see the range here is highlighted from B2 to B3, B31, and then if I select enter, it picks my item for me. Now the beautiful thing about this is even if I come here and I add a new value here, maybe I say a dog chain or a jukebox, you can see that it's also added to the list that is here automatically. Okay, now that's one way to create a unique list of items. Maybe remember I said this is purely beginners class again. It's purely beginners class again. Okay, so maybe I want to see the count of these items, so I'm just trying to refresh our mind so we don't forget. Okay, I can use the count if function. Want to count how many times shoes appear in this list. Okay, now I want to count in this range again. Range is where do you want to go and count for these items. So I want to count in shoes, Control Shift down. I want to count in this list, comma, and then what do I want to count? I want to count how many times I have shoe. Okay, there's another way I would have done this. The more manual way would have been to type in shoe as it is, and this would have told me that there were 6 shoes in my list. Fine. If I because I want to make this more interactive, more digital, right? I can decide to now select the item rather than to just type it. Okay, and if I do that, it still gives me 6. Now here's the thing, guys. With my fill handle, I can simply double click on this and then it just repeats down the line. Okay, so it does that, but there's a downside. The downside is, take a look at this, guys. When I open my formula, you could see every range or cell selected is highlighted. Okay, so if I go down to bag, you can see that the list is also coming down, which I don't want. What I want to come down is only this cell that I am using here. Okay, that's the only one I want to be coming down. I don't want this cell to be changing. So I can, in my first cell that I imputed the formula, do what we call an absolute reference. So instead of writing B2 to B31, I can absolute reference it by putting a dollar before my column letter and a dollar before my row number. Same thing for the second part of the range. I can simply do that by pressing also my F4 key. Okay, so if I press my F4 key to do that, easier for me. But guys, take note, depending on your system configuration, your keyboard may have F4 as a function key, so you may need to press your Fn key to get your F4 key. Okay, depending on your system configuration. If it's just fine, it's going to see F4 as what we want it to do. Okay, so if I press enter, it does that. And now if I do this, this is more accurate. This is more accurate, so you can see the cell is not shifting as I'm going down. The range is not shifting as I'm going down. Just this cell that I did here. Okay. Secondly, let's also generate regions. We want to consider regions around Nigeria, which is my country. So let's say Lagos. Let's say let's call it Rivers, Imo, Lagos, Rivers, let's say Abuja, Cross River, Lagos, Abuja. Let's also have maybe Benue, Delta. So let me just quickly repeat this so don't stress ourselves too much. And then let me add somewhere like Ogun again, and then let me repeat this just to make it a bit, there's another way I could have randomized. Does all Lagos have spaces after them? Okay. There are other ways I could have randomized this, but let's just work with this. So both have Rivers again, and then Abuja, and then finally maybe let's say Gombe. Okay, so we're cool, we've generated regions. Okay, now I also want to have a list of my different states which represent my region. Now another way we can deal with a range of reference like this is to give a name to them. Okay, so I want to give a name to this range of cells that are my regions. So from the first one, Control Shift down, and then I call it region. So now I have to deal with region rather than going back to those cells to highlight. Okay, so if I say equal to unique, just like what we did of region, it's not case sensitive, it will give me the different ones. And then I want to do a count of each of them. So in region,
count how many times you have Lagos and all of that. So if I simply do that and double click, it does a count for me. Okay, so now I now know which regions have the most are the most. Yeah, you understand that? Okay, let's say each item has a unit price. Okay, each item has a unit price, and that's what I want to use here. So let's say in Naira, even though we may not find that. Let's say the bag costs about 20,000. The shoe costs about 20,000. Bag costs about 35,000. Phone costs about 250,000. Jute box, I don't know how that will cost around here, maybe around 300,000. Glass, maybe around 15,000. A line which is just something I came up with, speaker about 120,000. So we just have random. Read should be about maybe 15,000 or so, and then box, whatever, maybe 220,000. Okay, and what I want to do is in this my list of items, I want it to tell me to because I can't begin to go one by one now. Say shoe is 20,000, bag is 35,000 for each of the items. Okay, so assuming you have these collective items that you had somewhere, and you want to reference this table to collect an information to paste here. Okay, I can simply do that using the xlookup function. So simply put, I want to tell Excel, right, to go and look for this particular item in a supposed table I have, okay, and then return this particular part of that table or range back to me. Again, I want to tell Excel to look for this value in a range and give me the corresponding value from another column that is associated to that range. All right, so let me call this range of items, let me call them items, so just so it's easier, let me call this cost. So please take note of the name. All right, I'm gonna call it cost. So what I want to do here is I want to say, using the xlookup function, I'm saying, okay, look up this value which is shown, look up for it in items. Guys, remember what items is? Good. And what do you want it to return for you? I want it to return what the corresponding cost of that item is. Now if I select that, I now have, you see shoe is 20,000, and all I need to do is do that, and then it generates, it goes, it picks. Phone is 250, it brings 250. Jute box is 300,000, it brings 200,000. So that's an easy way to consolidate data from multiple tables. Okay, so if you want to collect information from another table, worksheet, workbook, you can easily use the xlookup function, which is the upgraded version of the vlookup function, to perform this exercise. All right, now what I want to do is, we are randomly working this out. Okay, I want to generate a random, so this is unit sold. No, I don't think that's what I wanted there. I wanted, so yeah, so I wanted this to be unit price, and then this should be unit sold. Okay, so I want to generate a random numbers, because we are randomizing. Yes, we're just working it out. A random list of numbers between 1 and 100. So that's based on units sold. So I'm saying equal to rand between. So you have the rand function to generate between 0 to 1 random numbers. Rand array will generate a random array of numbers, number of rows and columns. Rand between is going to generate for you, for a particular cell or range of cells, random numbers that is between a range you specify. So I want it to generate for me maybe between 20 to 50 items. 20 to 50. So it's randomly going to create that for me. Now I want it to do that for the rest of them. So it's also done that. Now what I want to do is I want to copy and paste this, because the rand function will keep giving me random value every time I do any cell manipulation or any cell function. So let me copy, and then the shortcut to paste, right, is Control Alternate V as values, and then OK. So I now have them as values. All right. At this point, I think we're good to go. So we're going to fly a bit. So let's say cost price is going to be equal to simple cell manipulation, cell formulas, equal to unit price times unit sold, which will give me whatever that was. Okay, so let's say I don't have that strength to always be doing that. If I highlight this range of cells, okay, and I go to my name manager, my define names in formulas tab, I can simply create from selection, tell it for top row, and okay. What that will do for me is that every column now has the name based on the value in the top row. So if I do equal to unit price, so you can see unit price coming up there, times unit sold. So you can see unit sold as well. If I press enter, it just does it automatically for every row. Are we good for the entire column? All right. So this is cost price. Let's say we also want to generate a random price that the items are being sold. Okay, so this is just completely me. Want to generate a random price, or should I do that? Okay, hold on, let's do for the discount first. Okay, let's do for discount. So I want to move column H before this. Okay, I can right click. So this is, I come to my move, I highlighted this, I've highlighted column H. Using my move handle, which is this cursor, right click and drag to this position. It will ask me, do I want to move here? Do I want to copy here? Do I want to shift right and copy, or shift right and move? Okay, so I want to shift them to the right and move it here. Are we good? Now let's also assume that every region had their different what's it called now, discount. Okay, let's say every region had their different discount. I think we may make this video a two-part series. Every region had their discount, so we're gonna be I don't think this name region saved here, because we already had a region here. Should have saved this as states. All right. Okay, yeah, it is, yeah. It's not, we've not given a name yet. So I could call this states. I could call this states. Okay, fine. So let me say I want to generate discount. Now be careful here. 1% discount is 1/100, so it should be 0.01. Are we cool? 2% discount is 2/100, so it should be 0.02. A 5% discount is 5/100, it should be 0.05. A 10% discount should be 10/100, it should be 0.1. Okay, so let's say we have all these different items that are here, and what I want to do is I want to create a list for each item, so the author or whoever uses this sheet can be free to select what range of discount he wants to give for each of the region, something like that. Okay, so if I select this range of cells for my items, all right, I select this range of cells for my items, and I go to my data tab. You can see, you look for your data validation cell. look for your data validation cell, select that, and what I want to create is a list. Okay, I want to create a list. Now I can tell you to ignore blank, right? But I don't want you to ignore blank. Subsequently I can come back to changes. Or in cell drop down, I want to create a drop down list. Okay, so I want my values to be at least between 1% to like 30% in discount. So I'm having 0.01, 0.02, 0.05, 0.1, 0.2, 0.15, 0.2, 0.25, 0.3, and that's that. So I can put an input message here, select discount. So whenever anyone goes to any of those cells, he will see that he's been asked to select a discount. Okay. Error alerts. Let's say I don't want any error. So now, having done this, I just have to go to each row to select. Okay, so probably this may be the last thing I'll do for this first part of the video, and then we'll continue. Well, let's see. So what I want to do now is just like how I did with the other one. I want to collect the values of these discounts. I want to collect the values of this discount, and oh no, so yeah, good. Now I made a mistake here. I've named this something else, so I can correct this discount and then go and delete the previous one I had there. Go to my formulas, go to my name manager, and you can see discount and discount. So I want to delete this. So guys, if you've watched this far, please do well to drop a like, and it's gone. So I now have these items here, so I can come back. So again, I want to say equal to xlookup. I want to look for each region, comma, where should it look for them? Look for it in where I have states. Okay, what do you want me to return? I want you to return discount. Okay, a value is not found. So you can see anytime you see an argument in any function, there's an input in any function that is surrounded by square bracket, it means that they are no, it's not compulsory, you can skip them. But what I want to tell Excel to do is, if you don't find anything, give me a dash. Okay, and then close the bracket, and so there's no discount there, so it gave me 0. So if it finds a state that is probably not listed here, it will give me a 0 count. So maybe if I do something like Bielsa, so Bielsa is going to add to my list there, so it's still not going to give me that. Okay, so if I now come here and change Lagos to maybe 5%, so you see that all Lagos now has a value. Let's say Rivers 2%. I made a mistake somewhere. I'm seeing the strange value 0.15.02. Okay, cool. So how do I change this? Go back to your data tab. Let's go back to data validation, so you can still see I have that here. So I'm trying to find out my error. 0.3, 0.25. Okay, here it is. All right. Okay, fine. So I shouldn't have that anymore. 0.15, 0.05, 0.3, 0.25. Let's make Gombe 0.2. Benue this, Delta 0.1. So guys, this is absolutely random, please. Not doing any form of favoritism. Okay. So I have my discounts, but then discounts should be placed in percentages. So you want to probably select those range of cells, and then make them in percentage, which makes it appear more presentable. But take note, These values are in percentage format. The real content of that value is this value is still 0.05, 0.1, 0.15, and so on and so forth. Right? I want to do the same thing here. I want it to be in percentages as well. Okay, so next up, what I want us to do is let's also generate a random price for these things. Maybe it's the price that they want to sell, they want to make at the end of the day, right? The price they are hoping to have sold at the end of the day. Okay, so let's say we want it. I can see values here are some above 11 million. I think that's the highest value, above 12 million. Okay, so I want to make values between 12 million, no, between maybe 9 million and between 12 million. Okay, so here, although some of these values are now looking like they should not look like that. How do I do this? Okay, let me use the rand function. So I want to say rand. Of course, the rand function is going to give you values between 0 and 1. Okay, so if I do this times 10 million, 1 will be 10 million. So if I do this times 1 will be 10 million. Let me try this first. If I do this times 10 million, it's giving me values of up to about 4.5 million. Okay, so maybe I can also add a round function. So sorry guys, this is now doing much more than I plan to do. So let's round up this to maybe 3. Let's say 1. So 1 decimal place. This is still not what I wanted to have though. I wanted them to be in like okay, I think I know what to do. Let me do my round function to just be for my rand alone and make it 1 decimal place. That worked. So okay, so I can make this for 2 decimal places. What's that? Did it give somebody 0? No, I don't want anyone to be 0. It's giving something 0. Okay, I think this one is cool. Let me copy and paste as values. Okay, so I now have this, right? Okay, cool, fine. So the next thing we want to do is we've generated, so we saw the function we used here, right? What I did was I rounded up my rand function. Let me show what the rand function would have done. Okay, let me just do that here. The rand function will just give you a random number between 0 and 1. Okay, so what I did was to round it up to 2 decimal places and then multiplied it by 10 million. Okay, so it would have been 0.81 times 10 million, which will give me about 8.1 million. Okay, so that's what I did here. And what I now want to do at this point is I want to tell it that let the selling price be whatever this price was, and then minus our discount price from it. So we're going to be doing this price minus whatever the discounts of this should be. So it should be this minus, and then we are now saying minus this times this. Okay, all right, so this is what we get if we remove the discount for each of them. Good. So I'm sure whoever produced this particular item is not going to be happy. Imagine And from about 1.1 million, you're only selling, total sales is about 75,000. Okay, let me just be merciful and be biased for once. Okay, so let the loss be marginalized. All right, so that's how we calculated our selling price after removing the discount price. Okay, now I can go on to calculate my profit, which of course would be my selling price minus my cost price. Okay, and this will tell me, okay, for those that had mega profits and those that had mega losses. Now the final thing we're going to do, it seems like, I think we'll just do this final one again, another final one, is we're going to use conditional formats to help us to pick out these values easier. Okay, of course we know profits are greater than 0, losses are less than 0. So if I highlight my range of cells, go to conditional formats, and I want to use cell rules to say values that are greater than, and we're saying 0. Okay, and of course I can choose that to show green. Now you also have the liberty to format it however you want. So let me say I want to do a custom format. Okay, I want to change the colors to so this is color of the font. I want to change the color of the font to white, and then I want to fill it with a dark green. Okay, if you want to add a border you can do that, but I think this is what I want to do. So this, right, I still want to do the same thing for my negative, for my losses or no profits. So this time around I want to say less than 1, so that includes 0. And using my custom format again, I want to choose the font to be white and the field to be amber. Okay, so so it makes it easier now for me to see where my losses are at and where I'm making profit. Another thing I can do with my conditional formatting is, if I have this range of cells here, I can use color scales or color bars to help. So let me use color bar, data bars for here. It will help me know which products, right, sold better compared to others. So I want to use gradient fill for green. So looking at some items, you can know how poorly some did, and you could know how well some also did. Okay, those are not the only ones that you can use. So for our price as well, for our price, there's also another conditional format for color scales, which will show you based on this color scale you choose from good to bad. Right, so I want to use this one: green signifying good, yellow okay, and then amber heading towards the poor side. Okay, so I can clearly see from this data the list selling price, the list prices based on how thick the color gradient is. Okay, so basically we've done something like this. There are other things you can just do to play around, just to help you to be able to draw more insights, so you can tell easier. Also, let me say I'm adding icon sets for the discount. So yeah, let me say I'm adding icon sets for the discount as well. So we know discounts that, no, I don't want this, I don't want this. So if I want to manage cell rules for this one that I selected, I can edit cell rule and change the style. I wanted the other way around. Okay, so let's see. So yes, and then I wanted this to be green. Okay. All right. So this, right? So there are several things you can do with this. All right. Now maybe if I want to change the percentages, I can see maybe I want to change percentage on Benway and then see how it affects the items for Benway. Lagos being a major distributor, if I increase it to 30% discount, does it have any effect, and so on and so forth. So you can easily use that to monitor your data and all the rest, and you could draw out some insights from that. Okay, so we're going to draw the curtains here for today. We've done it as though we're absolute beginners again. We learned how to use the sequence, the unique function, how to count if, how to use the xlookup function, convert to percentages, use data validation. It seems we've done quite a lot today, and we'll be drawing the curtain here. Subsequently, we'll do more examples with more data sets that can be used for projects, and you can add that to your portfolio. Okay, so we're going to be drawing the curtains here today. Hope we had a wonderful time, and I want to say a very big thank you to all of us that have joined, liked, subscribed, or followed, and I'll see you again very soon.